Snap back to Casey. Has some time, takes a deep shot down the field looking for Trey Palmer. He goes out, he makes a catch. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Nebraska.
Yes! After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense, number 69 for throwing a punch on a player who was on the ground. 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. And number 69, by his actions, has ejected himself from the game.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness. This is devastating, Greg. Nebraska is beat up on the offensive line.
I got to do the better job with this team. We have officials at practice Tuesday and Wednesday, so I'm probably going to have the officials at practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I got to do a better job. I got to do a better job and get them to play under control. And I told them, I said, the non-moving penalties irritates me. And a couple of, pass interference calls, one of the balls was, wasn't catchable, but they had them locked up. They had them covered. You just have to move your feet. But, it's things that we can clean up, and we'll go back and look at it and get better. But if you're going to be an aggressive football team, you're going to have some of those penalties if you're going to be aggressive. But, we're going to go back and look at it because we don't condone that, and we'll get better.
Shotgun look. Grant to the right of Casey Thompson. The bulldozer, Brewington on the wing. Now in motion to the far side. Snap it back. Casey's going to follow the block into the end zone. Touchdown, Nebraska. Casey Thompson off the right side. Makes it 34-21 NU.
Yes.
First of all, I want to tell you guys how proud I am of you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for how hard you've worked. You've gone through a lot, all this adversity. And I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of you. Thank you for representing us so well. But tonight is about another guy. His first win. Yeah.
All right, welcome to Severe Reaction. It is a Sunday following Nebraska's first win under Mickey Joseph as interim head coach, second win of the season, first win over an FBS team and or Big Ten team since 364 days ago. Right now, 365. Last time they beat a team that was in the Big Ten was Northwestern in 2021 on October 2nd. Of course, yesterday was October 1st. Huge there. Big win for Nebraska. It was ugly. It was at times painful. It was at times where you said, what in the hell? I've never even seen that before. And when you watch a game, when you say multiple times you've never seen something before, hey, awesome. New experiences. It was great. I am Michael Severe, Chance, the producer on the other side of the board. It was a late night for a lot of people, I know, because driving back, there was still a good amount of traffic coming into Omaha, coming out of Lincoln. So I'd say probably I got home about 12:45, somewhere in there. And so I know a lot of people had a late night trying to get back home, probably had a good time as well after the game for a little while, because I stayed at the stadium doing some video stuff and editing the sound for this morning for a while. And I thought, man, by the time we get on the road, there won't be anybody on the road. There was not. There was still a lot of lights. There was some slowing down. There was a couple slamming on brakes, but luckily, at least on the interstate, there was no accidents out there. But I'm sure a lot of people sleeping in this morning. But you can always call and contribute to the show, 402-951-1620. We also have NFL football is going to be on at the same time. It might be the most difficult show I've ever done in my life. It may be. I've done a lot of shows. I've done thousands of shows over the course of some 20 years, and I have never had to do a show when the Saints were. Closest ever was I used to do a Husker show for Jerry Gray back in the day, and it was on Thursday nights, and I did one where I think we went from 6 to 7, something like that, and the Saints game had just come on. That was about it. But I've never had to actually do a show while the Saints game is on. But I'll be able to handle it. I'll be all right. I'll be all right. Lots to get to on the show today. It was a very strange game. There was, 23 combined penalties. We had a big hit that wasn't called targeting, right? They got that call right. that ended up becoming an interception that really no one except for the people on the field knew it was a turnover until it was announced by the official. The official, multiple times early in the game, thought he was talking about in Nebraska when he was talking about Indiana, or Indiana when he was talking about Nebraska. He pointed the wrong way a couple times. I know both teams have a shade of red. They're not the same shade of red. We'll get to that. We'll get to what happened with Turner Corcoran. I know you heard after the game, Mickey Joseph was wondering whether or not it was actually a penalty. It was. Both of them. One, you're not allowed to pull people off the pile, period. It says it right in the rules. They changed that rule about 4 or 5 years ago. Can't pull guys off the pile no matter what's going on. Turner Corcoran did that the first time. And then the second time, he literally open hand slapped the guy that was laying on the ground. And it was out of anger. You could see it. He reared back as if he was a 4-year-old and took a wild, massive swing and slapped him in the face. And the umpire was looking right at it. There's a great TV view from the end zone looking right down at it. So you see it really well. So anyway, that's why Turner Corcoran got ejected. We'll get into more of that. Nebraska's defense and the improvements, fewer missed tackles, more 3-and-outs. You know, Indiana wants to go fast. One of the byproducts of going fast, though, is if you lose your possession early like that, your defense is on the field a lot longer, obviously. And we saw, I think, Nebraska kind of wearing them down as it went along. Sorry, I got to shorten my headphones. Kind of wearing them down as they went along. So we'll get into that as well. The defense playing better. Some of the adjustments that was made. Hey, just playing other players. Malcolm Herzog getting in there as a true freshman, playing very well. And of course, the tie in the Big Ten West, where everybody except for Wisconsin, the favorite in the West coming in, is sitting at 1-1 right now, and Wisconsin at 0-2, but Nebraska tied for first place. We all saw that coming, right? No doubt. Let's go to the phones, 402-951-1620. We start with Jim. Good morning, Jim. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, Michael. I'm doing great. Say, I think what we need to do is ask for some money back from Scott Frost. You could see the difference in the coaching. It was just, I've never seen anything like it. But his major failure was the walk-on program, which he basically had to abandon. I went on Sports Illustrated the other day, and I looked up what they had to say about our 95 team.
Yeah.
Out of the 85 scholarship players, 35 of them were walk-ons for that 95 national championship team.
Yeah.
Scott Frost knew all about what walk-ons did for our program, and he basically just let that fail. That's all I've got to say, Michael. I love your show.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. Obviously, that was a long time ago, and things have changed a lot, and you're not going to have that percentage of your, certainly not your overall players or even your starters being walk-ons. That's not going to happen. But you could still get 2 or 3 contributors who come in as freshmen, red shirt, practice, get bigger, get stronger, and then because of that, all of a sudden you got a guy who's, you know, a 4th-year junior who's contributing a lot, not just on special teams, but actually maybe on the defense, maybe even a little bit of offense. We saw it yesterday. We saw a freshman, I think he was a freshman walk-on, play yesterday, got 100 yards rushing. So, I mean, in the Big Ten, and occasionally that'll happen. You'll see that. But overall, I'm not going to – Scott Frost has a lot of things to blame for things that Scott Frost did or did not do over the course of his 4+ years. The walk-on program is down the road, in my opinion. You know, there's a list, and down at the bottom of that list, there's a bunch of little things. And the walk-on program, he brought walk-ons in. Here's the biggest problem he did with the walk-on, in my opinion. And this goes back to the whole coaching staff. And I'm not blaming anybody specifically on this one mistake, in my opinion. I think it's an overall problem that happened in the state evaluating talent. Too many times, the guys they chose before walk-ons weren't the best players. They weren't. There were other guys, some of which who wanted to walk on here, who didn't even get an offer. And that's not on Kenny Wilhite. That's on Kenny bringing guys to it and say, hey, here's the list of guys I think can play at Nebraska eventually, and then them not offering them. And that happened a number of times. The kid from Scott, who is at Notre Dame now playing fullback, wanted to come to school here. One of the smartest kids in the state wanted to come to school here. They never offered him a walk-on. And if you watch that kid play at Scott, all the tackles he made, the contributions he made on offense, I know he's a fullback, but he's a special teamer. There are things you could find for him to do. The H-back role that we use different tight ends for, he could have done. Liebentrips, I believe is his last name, something like that. But he's at Notre Dame now, taking his big brain and his high GPA and his incredible SAT score, and he went to Notre Dame, where he wanted to walk on at Nebraska. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. There's too many guys that you look that they offer the preferred walk-on to, and you go, yeah, he's okay, but so-and-so is a better overall player. You know, you go to Friday Night Lights, and I've been going to a game a week for a few years now, and you'll see a kid, you're like, that kid can play at Nebraska. I know he can play. Here's a great example, West Side. Dom Rizak could play at Nebraska. They've offered and eventually given scholarships to guys who are from the state who he's better than. Period. Saw them both play. He's better than. Dominic Rizak could be a kickoff returner in the Big Ten. I know he could, certainly at Nebraska. But, you know, that's not a guy that they decided to put a lot of time trying to get in. And that happens a lot for whatever reason. A lot of mistakes on recruiting, a lot of mistakes on some of the guys you should bring in the walk-on program. I think that's the biggest thing. If I was going to look at blaming Scott for something about the walk-on program, I would say there's guys that they picked to be the preferred walk-ons who weren't necessarily the best guys. And then when they did bring guys in, Aiden Young is a great example of this. They brought Aiden Young in at Elkhorn, and I think he should be on 2 or 3 different teams in terms of the special teams, and I really haven't seen him out there. And I don't know, he might be hurt. I don't know. But watching that kid play at Elkhorn, whether it was punt return, punt coverage, it didn't matter. He was everywhere. And that's the kind of guy I like to see get early on in the field, you know, to give him a shot. I think you see Malcolm Herzog goes in there as a freshman yesterday. He's not where he's going to be, but you see how hard he played and the things that he did and the difference he made, and the punt block by funny, the punt block is by 31 and the return is by 13. A little inverse thing going on there. But yeah, it was got to give the young guys a chance to get in there, and that's one of the things. Johnny says, take a look at Turner's first personal foul. Looks like Trey Palmer did more of shoving off the pile. Yeah, I watched it. The problem is with the rule, they say if you pull somebody off the pile or push somebody off the pile, that's a penalty, right? And again, this has been in place maybe 5 years. And so it doesn't matter what's happening on the ground, because if somebody's on top of you or on the side of you, whatever, and you try to get them off you, that's fine. But if you're in a standing position and you reach into the pile to push or pull, they're going to call a penalty on you. And then the slap, again, the slap was very obvious, and they end up losing him from the game. The official adds to it, though, by his phrasing, because that phrasing is something I guarantee you've never heard before. You've never heard the way he phrased that personal foul. You just don't. Chance, can you play it again? Play the personal foul call again. The Turner getting ejected.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, offense, number 69 was throwing a punch on a player who was on the ground. 15-yard penalty from the dead ball spot. And number 69, by his actions, has ejected himself from the game.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my goodness. This is devastating.
By his actions, has ejected himself from the game. And it's true, it's accurate, but it's the drama. Like, the official was going for some unnecessary drama. Could have easily said, personal foul, number 69, throwing a punch, has been ejected. Period. That'd be good. But he had to pull a little bit more into it. He was overly descriptive at times of penalties. There was some calls that I would say were poor calls. I think they missed some. They probably could have been more flags, which is scary to think of because of the amount that were out there. And I think there was a point in the game where the officials looked at each other and said, this game is going too quickly. We're going to be inside of our TV window. Let's slow this down, because there was a run of maybe 6 penalties on 9 plays. And you're like, again. And then the funniest part about it is the majority of the time, if you watch enough football, this is pretty easy. You know by who throws the flag what the penalty is. You know the situation. You know which official threw the flag. You know when they threw the flag. Was it pre-snap? Was it at the snap? Was it after the pass? All those things. And there were a handful of times where I thought, okay, that penalty's this. And it was something else. It was just a weird game. Like I thought they were going to call on the interception that Luke Reimer had, the big hit, ball's kind of laying there. He grabs it, gets the interception. I thought they were calling, because there were two flags, I thought they were calling hands to the face because I saw one of the players from Indiana go to the ground, offensive lineman, and his helmet came off. So I assumed, okay, that's hands to the face. Just to the right of that, there was a hold. They called the hold. It wasn't. I completely missed it. It wasn't hands to the face. It was a good block, and as the guy fell, his head went back and the helmet came off. And then the other penalty, you thought, okay, they're going to call targeting. That's what they call now on any big hit. But they didn't. They nailed it. It was a shot to the chest. It was a perfectly legal hit, one of the better hits you're going to see all weekend. And they didn't. They got it right. So, I mean, occasionally the officials even get it right. 4 out of 5 games now, Nebraska scored in the open possession. We've talked a lot over the years, going all the way back to Callahan, about scripting plays and what that means and what you can get done by scripting plays. They have to figure out a way to be able to take that consistency that they have of starting the game and recreate it multiple times. Whether it is taking some of the same plays that work, and that was crazy because you had I think a 6-yard run by Grant and then 2 34-yard passes, the second of which is the touchdown. So, I mean, to Oliver Martin, you just don't see that. But still, they have to figure out a way to repeat either the intensity or the method or whatever else, because too many times now Nebraska's done that and then had multiple series after that where they just look like they're kind of inept, and that certainly can't happen. Fickle People Brian says they missed the holding pass interference. It's DB on Washington on long pass attempt in the fourth quarter. DB can see pulling his shirt on the hip. Yeah, you see that a lot where they let that go because wherever the referee is, we're seeing a high shot, obviously. We're watching it from TV angle. So it's high and we can see it all. They're a low angle and they're seeing through other players. And so if you're a good enough defensive back, you can get away with that tugging stuff, especially at the hip area, as long as you don't really turn a guy a lot. But yeah, they're always going to miss some. They threw a lot. They threw a ton. It's not something you see a lot where you go over 20. People were asking for the record, and I was telling them that's nowhere near the record because we've seen games that have been worse than that in terms of penalties. Nebraska's punt block. October 31st, 2009, the last time a punt block was returned for a touchdown. It's one of those things we were going over last time. October 31st, 2009, last time that happened. Last time Nebraska got a win coming off of a bye. This is the incredible thing. At no point, and I know that Scott Frost didn't win a lot of games, so maybe that's a big reason for it, but at no point during Scott Frost's time here did the team win a game after a bye week, right? That shows you either a lack of preparation, mentally or physically, or just a general ineptness in being able to handle one of the best things that can happen to you. When you hear about the best coaches, one of the first things you will hear, whether it is a John Harbaugh or an Andy Reid, and then the same thing in college, coming off of a bye, how do they do? Coming off of extra time to prepare, how did they do? If it's like a Thursday to then playing next Sunday and you get 10 days, how do they do? The best coaches. Scott Frost never won a game after a bye week and won only, one game to start a season, first game of the season. So that you could even call that a bye week in a way because you're coming off of not playing a game the week before. But in terms of bye weeks during the season, that's the first time since the Mike Riley era in 2017 that Nebraska won a game coming off of a bye week. A lot more to get to on Severe Reaction. We'll take your phone calls, 402-951-1620. Anthony Grant had a nice game, very workmanlike, put in the effort, ran hard, got better in the second half after some adjustments were made at halftime. Speaking of halftime, we'll play what Mickey had to say on the way to halftime when he was pretty angry but the way Nebraska had played in the first half, especially the last 5 to 7 minutes. We'll get to that and much more here on Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone.
Creighton Sports Update. Hey, Blue Jays fans, stay on top of Creighton men's and women's athletics at GoCreighton.com. Keep up to date with Blue Jays basketball, volleyball, soccer, softball, baseball, and more all year long. Come out and support your Blue Jays. For tickets, go to Ticketmaster.com, GoCreighton.com/tickets, or go to the ticket office located at the Ryan Athletic Center.
1620 The Zone proudly supports Creighton Athletics.
Parent-teacher conferences are a key ingredient in your child's academic achievement. I'm Jenny Benson, a teacher and president of the Nebraska State Education Association. Head into your parent-teacher conference with notes and questions. Share details with the teacher about your child and life at home. Ask about your child's strengths and weaknesses and how you can be supportive. Help us make this your child's best school year yet.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
When you have trouble sleeping, it's tough. When kids have trouble sleeping,
Mom, I can't sleep. Dad, just one more story?
for nights like this, try Vicks Pure Z's Kids. Our great tasting gummies are specially formulated for kids with a unique blend of botanicals and a low dose of melatonin to support their natural sleep cycle. Best of all, they're drug-free and non-habit forming. Help your child fall asleep naturally with Pure Z's Kids Gummies. Consult with a doctor before use. For ages 4 and up.
It's time for the gates to open. And pure evil to be released. Scary Acres is back. Omaha's ultimate haunted attractions. The Master's Castle, House on the Hill, the Haunted Woods. Scary Acres now open. 172nd and Giles. Sponsored in part by Stereo West, Raising Cane's and Hy-Vee.
One of the things to love about FanDuel Sportsbook is its partnership with the NFL. Always finding new players, new game props to get you covered. There's a lot to choose from. And you know what else is cool about the FanDuel Sportsbook app? You can combine these props with bets and make sure that you can get an even bigger payout. Perfect for tonight's game. Maybe it's quarterback rushing yards. Maybe it's running back scoring anytime. Maybe it's opposing quarterbacks to throw an INT. FanDuel Sportsbook app, they've got you covered.
Yeah, I got so many different options for you that you can be a winner. You can put everything together. You can find it all either pre-built or choose your own. You know what? However you want to play, we play the right way. We do it with FanDuel, so do it today. It's easy to download. Just sign up with promo code ZONE if you don't already have an account. If you already have FanDuel, you're all set. Just sign in and see what you've got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 over President Iowa. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable. Free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
We got to play smarter. We got to cut down on the penalties and stop doing stupid things. We got to play smart.
How do you cut down those penalties in the second half?
I'm going to talk to him right now, and I'm going to let him know how I feel about that. So I'm going to go get it straight right now.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. That's the TV version. Mickey going to the locker room. Upset, obviously. Not a surprise. Question was asked, talking about how a lot of people are saying that Nebraska won against a FBS team for the first time in a little bit, under a year. He said, when's the last time they beat a team that had a winning record? Now, are you saying, Brian, a winning record at the end of the season or a winning record at the time that Nebraska played them? Because that's a little bit different. So I knew that Nebraska, when they beat Penn State, that Penn State didn't have a winning record. Matter of fact, they were 0-3 coming into that game. So I knew that wasn't one. And at the end of the season, Penn State didn't finish with a winning record either. They were 4-5 that season. But if we're talking about the last time Nebraska beat a team that had a winning record at the end of the season, I think we have to go back to 2019 to get that, I think, because at the end of the season, or maybe I'm wrong about that. Let me see. Hold on. Yep, that is wrong. So 20. Let's go back to 2018 now. Oh, this is fun. Oh, hold on. There we go. Are we talking about Power 5? Does that matter? Because no, that's another one. Is there any chance that South Alabama? Nope, it did not. USA finished 2-10 that year. So we go back to 2018. 2018, Nebraska, of course, finished 4-8 and had one of the best wins of Scott. It's the Michigan State game, right? Yep, because Michigan State was 7-6 that year, and Nebraska beat them at the end when they had 6 wins at that point. Yeah, they had 6 wins at that point. Ended up beating Rutgers to get their 7th, and then got their 6th loss in the bowl game. So 2018 is the last time Nebraska beat a team that ended the season or had a winning record at the time, because Michigan State had a winning record at the time and also finished the season with a winning record as well. So that would be the last time. It'd be 2018 when Nebraska beat them on November 17th. Won 9-6, of course, on that very, very cold day with the field goals and everything. That's the last time Nebraska did that. Let's go back to the phones. That's where Jason is this morning. Good morning, Jason. How are you doing?
Hey, good, Michael. Great to wake up feeling a little winter, man.
There you go.
Today,
Yeah.
That was great. It was great, man. Just a few comments. Hey, loving Mickey, man. Like I said, it's refreshing as a coach. Like I said, he communicates up there at the presser for the last 2 weeks. You feel like you're getting something out of the press conference. You feel like you're getting something out there on game day from him. I mean, he definitely reminds you of Bo as far as he's an emotional, he's out there spirited with the players, and you can tell he's a coach's player, and like I said, I just love it because you feel like you're getting something out of him. He's not tight-lipped. I hope if he ends up becoming the coach, that they doesn't evolve into being a robot out there. He seems like he is very personable, and it's rubbing off on the team. And like I said, I'm not one to pile on. Like I said, God love Frost. I mean, he did all he could. I mean, he had his drawbacks, but he definitely got us good players, and he created team unity. And Mickey was able to take that, Bush and these other guys, and they've been able to run with it. So I mean, Frost did have some good things to him, even though he couldn't get us over the hump mentally in these games. But and like I said, my final thought is I've been beating this drum. I mean, I'm telling you, Trev loves this program like all of us diehard fans.
Yeah.
And this whole coaching search, I've been on this, man. I think he's recruiting. He may not even be looking for a coach. I think he's out there recruiting a coaching staff. He's trying to see what's out there available for Mickey or who's ever out there that has to build a staff. I don't think it's going to be, hey, Coach Leopold, bring your buddies up here and let's go. I think he's trying to recruit. He's trying to see what's available out there to build a staff. And he's going to tell Mickey, hey, here's the guys that are available. They're really good. You interview them and decide who you want, because that's how he did with Scott. I mean, he said, look, here's the guys, go get Mickey. He's very smart, as far as recruiting talent and seeing what's out there. And I think he's trying to see what talent's out there, and he's trying to recruit a coaching staff eventually down the road. It's not just a head coach. And like I said, it's just refreshing with Mickey and his ability to communicate and see it rub off on the team. And hopefully we can make it 2 in a row come Friday night out there and against Rutgers. So
sounds awesome. Thanks a lot, Jason. We appreciate it. I have mixed feelings about the idea of telling a guy you hire to be the head coach who you need to hire. We've seen it before. We saw it when Bo came back, and there was this responsibility he thought he had to go back and fix the mistakes of 2003 and rehire some of those guys. And I don't know that was the best guys they could have hired. Not 2000. Yeah, making up for 2003, going out and getting Barney Cotton and those guys. I think if you hire a head coach, you got to let them hire their staff. Now, I'm not saying you can't say, hey, listen, Mickey Joseph and Brian Applewhite, they have a lot of recruits who, if those guys go, we probably lose them. So why don't you look at them? But I would hate to tell a head coach I hire, who I pay a ton of money to, hey, you have to put these guys on your staff. I want them to go out and get the best guys they can. I want them to get guys they can work with. And usually that means it's somebody you have a tie with. And so I understand what you're saying about a whole staff and bringing the best, but you also want them to be able to work together. And so that usually requires the head coach hiring those guys and not being forced to hire guys. So I want him to see him keep Mickey for sure, whoever it is. I think Brian Applewhite's a good person to keep too. After that, I don't know. I'd love to see Barrett Ruud stay around the program as well. Let's go back to the phones where Random Mike is this morning. What's up, Random Mike? How you doing?
Hey, I'm glad you're back, bro.
Yeah, I'm not really back. I'm like, no, I'm just playing. Go ahead. Yeah.
And I love you on Big Red Rapid.
Oh yeah, man. It's we're gonna do a win. It's my 10th win since I've been doing the show on Big Red Wrap Up. That's a horrible stat. I'll tell you.
Yes, it is. And that last win, the Northwestern game.
Yeah.
Last year, that was one of our best games in years. And I remember thinking afterwards, that's how I thought it would be in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think we all did. Yeah.
Hey, talking about walk-ons, how about Reimers? Jeez. Some of the plays he made. And, boy, when you got a linebacker that's a great athlete, would you agree he's a great athlete?
He is. He's a very good athlete. There's at times, though, where you watch them play, like against Oklahoma, and you realize how much better some of the other athletes are in the Big Ten. He's a good athlete, don't get me wrong, but he kind of got exposed in that game against Oklahoma.
Tell me, I know you're a big Saints fan. Are you a big LSU fan?
No, I would not say it. My family cheers for LSU. I'm glad they won yesterday because that Auburn rivalry is a really good one. But I grew up a Penn State fan, Mike.
Interesting. Yeah, I know you got a connection there too.
Yep.
It's all very emotional.
Yeah.
Here's an assistant that the owner that started the league, insisted that the new head coach, keep on, Buddy Ryan.
Yeah. Listen, there's times where the guy that you keep on is great at something, and there's other times where the guy you keep on is just there because of recruiting too. In the college level, I'm talking about. So
absolutely, is there a guy you want us to be the next coach? Is there a guy you really like?
I love Lance Leipold. I think is a great man. I think he would come here and he'd build a program. I like Dave Aranda a lot as well. I still believe that Matt Campbell can be a great coach here. Those three guys probably stand out the most to me. But I think there's a great list of guys. I think Bill O'Brien could be a great coach here. I think there's a lot of guys.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Was Leipold at UNO when Trev ended the football program?
Yes. He was definitely there when Kevin was still doing games. That's where I met Lance, when Kevin was still doing UNO games. And then Lance moved to UNL, and I think it was when the program was disbanded. I think that's right.
Hey, take care, buddy.
All right, man. I know there's a lot of people. There are people out there that are saying that Lance wouldn't come here because he has something against Trev. I think for the majority of people, that's been smoothed over. I'm not everybody, but I think for a lot of people, the football part of it and how that happened has been smoothed over a little bit. And so I don't know if that's a big issue for Lance. The bigger thing for Lance Leipold would be to leave something he's building in Kansas. They're 5-0, and to ask him to leave after year 2, I think might be hard for him because he's such a good man. But I think the opportunity to come to a place like Nebraska and come home kind of in a way would be really hard for him to pass up, I think. Let's take one more phone call. We'll take a quick break when we come back. Let's go to Lance. We'll go. Fitz, you go first, and then we'll take a break. Go ahead, man.
Hey, Michael, how you doing today?
I'm all right. It's all right waking up after going to a game where the team you follow wins.
It's a little bit of a different feeling, isn't it?
It's very, well, it's been a while too, yeah.
Just kind of a few things. Besides the referee, I still think that the head referee just calls people's voicemails and leaves messages just to kind of hear his own voice. He was all about that last night, but it was nice to see a little bit of just kind of taking back the safety net a little bit and just kind of letting them go. And I know you can say there, what was there to lose besides the game, but I think in the big picture, you have to take those risks now. And Bush and Mickey just said, you know what, let's trust them. Let's take some things out. Let's take some calls away, make the communication part easier so that they can play. And I know I kind of go back and forth yesterday. I thought Matt Mellon did a pretty good job. He says some pretty crazy things, but he talked a few times, and I think it may have been in the third quarter, and the defense really started ramping up a little bit more. But he said, they're not going to ask the players to do something that they know they can't do. And for me, that kind of speaks to what the coaching staff is now doing. I mean, they've been around them, but They know what they can do. They know that's development. It's training. They got back to the drills, things like that. And I think it showed. They were moving some guys around. They brought more pressure. They let the corners step up. Just those types of things. And if it continues, and that's what we're seeing from Mickey, then I'm all in favor, because right now his leadership, if he's getting the best of his guys, coaches, players, support staff, whatever it is, why make change as long as, and I think you just said it with the previous caller, if you can keep recruits, if it means Applewhite because he's a heck of a recruiter, I think he's getting the best from his room. Maybe it's Bush. You just have to evaluate from top to bottom, see what's going to be there. There's going to be a lot of turnover, but if it continues like this and they're playing well, then that's great. There was a few moments, and maybe I probably wasn't the only one when it got back to 21-21. It's kind of that feeling that just kind of that overwhelming urge to say, oh well, here it goes again. But they stayed the course. They continue to pressure. It was fun, and I just think you turn around, you play another game on Friday, and see if you can put another one together.
No doubt. Thanks, Fitz. I appreciate it. Yeah, you want a winning streak, right? And 2 of them is a winning streak. There was a drive, speaking of the defense, and again, trying new things. There's a drive in the second quarter where here's the tackles and plays that were made, okay? So there's one of the many 3 and outs that Nebraska forced from Indiana. On 1st and 10 at Indiana's 40, tackle was made by Jamari Butler, a guy who has primarily been on the bench, comes in and makes a big play. Next play, 2nd and 9, pass broken up by Hartzog. So you're talking about a freshman who got a chance to play, gets a pass broken up, and then the next play, Jamari Butler breaks up a play. So you had those 3 plays by 2 guys who really hadn't played a lot. Hartzog had played almost completely on special teams. I think he may have come in one of the blowout stuff and played a little bit. Jamari Butler occasionally gets a little bit. And then you get the block by Kolarvik, and then Hartzog runs in the block punt. That is an example of you have guys on the bench. You have guys on the bench who can play. Give them a shot, and maybe they can make big plays. One more phone call, 402-951-1620 before we take a break. Go ahead, Lance.
Hey, Michael, you'll tell us the truth because although you follow the team, you're an outsider. We don't want to be caught up in the hype, but I'll tell you, Mickey has substance. There's something about that man. I played D3 college football. There's something about that man is special. And if you look at some of these coaches, Dabo, Riley, there's not a lot of those great head coaches around. I love Lance Leipold too. But what are you looking at? I mean, you have connections in Louisiana, but there's something to this man. What would you look at that would, obviously he has a chance to play out the rest of the season, but this man. I mean, there's something about him. What are you judging Mickey to think whether you think he's a legitimate coach?
Lance, I appreciate the phone call. I've known Mickey for a long time, followed his career for a long time. Mickey is a winner. Yeah, he's recruited very well at a high level. He's developed players who weren't necessarily big-time recruits to a high level. And I think he is one of those guys that he just basically tells you what he thinks, which is great as well. I don't know if Mickey is ready to run his own program here in the Big Ten at this level. If he got the job, I'd be as supportive as anyone. I'd be very happy to see if he got the job. I think it would be awesome. But I do believe there are men out there who have coached at this level, coached in the Big Ten, have proven themselves at this level, proven themselves in the Big Ten that I think are better candidates right now. I certainly want to see Mickey stay as associate head coach, as an assistant, wide receiver, whatever you want to call him. I want to see him stay. But do I believe he should be the head coach? It wouldn't be the first person I would pick. The only way I think I do it, if Trev sees enough of a difference in both the attitude and the emotion and the play of the team, that he thinks that Mickey can carry this past just this 1 year, because that's hard to do. How many times have we seen assistants do well after a firing, win a couple of games, get everybody fired up, and then, okay, give them the job and then not worked out? We saw it at USC, right? We've seen it a couple of different times where it didn't. Then we've seen it where it has worked out, where the exact same thing happened and Ed Orgeron gets promoted or whatever else, Or even better yet, look at Clemson, Dabo getting promoted midseason after a firing and still head coach. So, yeah, it's times where it works. I think the majority of the time you don't want to do that. But what I'm trying to say is I really like Mickey, and I want Mickey to have all the success in the world. But I also want to see Nebraska win. I also want to see Nebraska win for a long time. I think that would be under a head coach with more experience at this level. We'll take a break. We'll come back. 951-1620, 402-951-1620. More severe reaction. We come back here on 1620 The Zone.
Every search you make, every click you take, they'll be watching you.
Tired of companies like Google and Facebook watching everything you do online? There's actually a simple solution. DuckDuckGo. It's an all-in-one privacy app with a built-in private search engine, web browser, one-click data clearing, email protection, and more, all for free. Download the app today and get the most comprehensive privacy protection with a push of a button. DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
Here's an opportunity for business-to-business salespeople. NRG Media is looking for someone who gets excited about helping local businesses grow. Are you an idea person who can create and execute a plan? We should talk. At NRG Media, we create local marketing campaigns designed to meet a key challenge. On air, online, on-site, audio, video. It's all part of what you could do. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Business-to-business salespeople? Apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
You can join us every week for the Sharp and Betting podcast. It's Sharp and Betting. We got a podcast driven by our good friends at Woodhouse Auto Family.
Yeah, the cool thing about it is we'll get more in depth on a lot of your favorite topics, have a guest or two, and just might drop some nuggets of information that you've never heard before.
Wherever you get your podcasts, just look for Sharp and Betting. We got a podcast driven by Woodhouse Auto Family each Friday. You can find it on the Sharp and Betting show page on 1620thezone.com. At Sharp and Betting, we got a podcast.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're speaking another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
They were put in a tough situation, thrown in the fire right away, but they came back. They worked on an off week. They got better. They came back this week and they got better, and they fought tonight. Every Big Ten game is going to be like this. If you just look around the conference, everything's a tight game like this, and you got to win the full quarter. And we did.
Welcome back. Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. That is what the Big Ten is, even more so. That's what the Big Ten West is. It's about winning games down the stretch, making your special teams plays, whether it's making a field goal, blocking a field goal, returning a punt to get yourself in field goal range. So many different little things that happen in this league because it is so tight to win the games. And then you start looking around the league at the other teams, and you're like, who's really good? We had all this confidence, I think people did, in Minnesota. Now, you don't have your best player and your running backs out. Touchdown, Minnesota. Flag. They called a pick. So you don't have your best player in Mo Ibrahim, and that's a thing to look at and say that's a reason, but that's not it. I mean, Minnesota literally drops a wide open touchdown pass in the end zone, goes off the receiver's hands, and gets intercepted. I mean, when that happens, automatically you're saying to yourself, well, one, luck or karma's not on your side, but you're shooting yourself in the foot and making it even worse. You don't have one of your best players, and then another one of your players gives the ball away. And Minnesota was losing to Purdue 20-10. Does anybody believe that Purdue is world beaters? Aiden O'Connell throws more turnover-worthy plays than I've seen from anybody in a long time. He puts the ball in harm's way a lot, but he also puts up big numbers at times, and he will occasionally make a big-time throw, and he made some of those, and Purdue wins that game. But really and truly, who's great? Who is the? Oh, I can't believe that they ran a screen. They had it completely covered, and Alexander Madison gets a touchdown pass. Minnesota to go up early, probably 7-0. Anyway, other things I want to talk about. 402-951-1620. Forced 8 3-and-outs, 11 total punts. There was a stretch in the first half where Nebraska forced 6 straight punts. And it's a perfect example of why, as much as coaches talk about wanting to go fast and wanting to get a bunch of plays in and all that stuff, it's not always beneficial to your team. You have those series where you just can't get any cohesiveness going, and you look up and you probably ticked off a minute 10 on a drive, if that much, even less, probably 50 seconds. And what have you accomplished? Nothing. You've gained a couple of yards. You're punting back. Your defense is back there on the field, and they're trying to fight through it. And that's what we saw. 6 straight punts that Nebraska forced in the first half, and then turned around in the second half, forced 5 more straight punts and a 4-and-out, or not a 4-and-out, or, stoppage on downs. And that lack of consistency for Indiana, it's been kind of indicative of their offense. We've seen a lot about their offense at times. When it's going really well and they're going fast, it's great, but they're giving it back too quickly to the other team. That's why you've got to be able to adjust that as you're going along in the game and say, okay, there's some things that aren't working right for us right now. Let's take a beat here on this third down and make sure we get it right, opposed to just let's run up to the line of scrimmage as fast as we can and try to make a play. Too many times you see that. In the end, Indiana only ran 67 plays because of all the 3-and-outs. Nebraska ran 78 plays and averaged just under 5 yards a play. Not great. It's pretty average at 4.9, but it was enough in this game. Nebraska ran the ball halfway decent. Anthony Grant was workmanlike, getting the between the 4 and the 7 yard runs, didn't really break one. Nebraska, this is a unique thing about this game. All season long, and we saw it a little bit last year and certainly saw it in 2020. Nebraska was going to score. It usually involved multiple explosive plays. Some coming into this game, it was like 3. They had to get 3 explosive plays, meaning a run over 10 yards, a reception over 15. We saw a few times, because they only had 6 total explosive plays. 2 of them were on the first drive. So after the first drive, they had 4 explosive plays. I believe there were 2 runs that were explosive, or was it 3 that were explosive? I have it on my sheet. Oh, here. Yeah, 2 for 28 and 4 catches for 160, and 2 of those were in the first drive. So they did it without explosive plays, which is good. You want to see a team be able to work their way down the field despite penalties, overcome not being able to get a big play, but still be able to convert on third down. And Nebraska early on struggled on third down, but by the end had it going on third down. Let's take a call before we take a break, our last break of the hour. Cody joining us here on 1620 The Zone. Hey, Cody.
Hey, Michael. Hey, good morning. Being a lifelong Nebraskan, it does matter to me what the football program does. Right or wrong, it does. It's a reflection of our past hard work, our continuing hard work. It's just a reflection of us.
Yeah.
That's why 90,000 people show up. And I understand to the outsider, we may seem a little over the top. I get that. But last night I saw something that I haven't seen in a long time. In Son of a Woman, Al Pacino, in that awesome speech, says, there's nothing that cures an amputated spirit. There's no prosthetic for that.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, if they'd have lost, their spirit would have been amputated. And I don't know if it would have been coming back. That was a huge win. I love the emotion. You saw Trev on the sideline, fist pumping guys. They showed his name up on the wall. Sorry, I'm walking here.
That's all right.
But it is amazing. And now we have a chance. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know this. I know now when we take the field, probably not against Ohio State or Michigan, but everybody else, we have a chance. And that's all I'm asking for. Just a fighting chance Guys go out, they play hard, they play clean, and I love the direction. Awesome. Great morning. It's awesome morning.
Thanks, Cody. We appreciate it. Now, the only thing I will fight back against is play clean. There wasn't a lot of clean happening, but they did play hard, and they did fight. And Mickey said it multiple times after the game. They fought. And I'm sure at halftime, he read him the riot act, whether it was Turner Corcoran's play or some of the things that happened down the field, whether it was holding or interference on plays where Nebraska was in position but decided to lose technique, or chose to lose technique, or just lost technique, however you want to say it. But you're right. It matters to the state because it's such a part of the state's identity. As much as beef is a part of the state's identity and economy, Nebraska football is a part of the identity and the economy of Nebraska. When Nebraska's winning, the Husker Hounds or the Husker Heavens or whatever the name of the store you go to buy your Husker gear does better. More people go out after the game. More people hang out in Lincoln and spend money and add to the economy because Nebraska wins a game. Yeah, it's a huge part of that. And I understand it. Don't apologize for being fired up about wanting to see your team play well and win. Because there's a lot of teams around the country that attendance has dropped, overall interest has dropped, and I don't know if that comes back when that ends up happening. We'll take a break. We'll come back more on what Anthony Grant did yesterday and the offensive line, and maybe we're going to see some changes down the road, hopefully, when we come back here on 1620 The Zone.
Welcome to the After Hours Lounge on 1620 The Zone.
I choose to invade the state of Minnesota and steal PJ Fleck. He's rowing the boat into Lincoln.
They hired PJ Fleck for this job. I will quit. September 13, 2022, I will state my resignation at 1620 The Zone if they hire PJ Fleck.
Catch After Hours 6 to 8 Monday through Friday or as the sports schedule allows. Brought to you by Iowa Western Community College and Multicare Medical on 1620 The Zone.
Are you over 50? Would you like to get up to 33% more income in retirement? Then call now for this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers, from a leading financial firm on maximizing your income in retirement. That's right, free. This free book reveals little-known truths about annuities in simple-to-understand terms that will help you make the right choices before buying an annuity. And it's free. As a bonus, we'll also throw in a free annuity rate report summarizing the rates and benefits from financially strong insurers.
Call 800-715-9880.
That's right, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers and Annuity Rate Report, both absolutely free for calling today.
Call 800-715-9880. That's 800-715-9880.
Sponsored by Annuity General. Producers have the appropriate licenses for the products they offer. Increased income is possible using strategies suited to your goals and may require buying multiple annuities and holding them full term.
In a house in Omaha, people gather in the kitchen. They don't talk about school and work. They talk about doctors and surgeries. They're the families of Ronald McDonald House Charities in Omaha. And the kitchen is where they come together to share the struggles their children are facing. For these families, it's the little things, like a home-cooked meal even while far from home, that make the biggest difference. Volunteer to prepare a meal by visiting rmhcomaha.org.
One of the things I love about betting on the NFL is that I'm always finding new players or game props that I like. And what's even better, when you have FanDuel Sportsbook, you can combine these props with other bets from the same game to score an even bigger payout. It's perfect for the game that you're ready to watch, the big game on Monday night. You know what? So pick your favorite prop. Quarterback over rushing yards. Anytime touchdown is really, really popular. Same game parlay is just one of the reasons that I bet with FanDuel. It's easy to use, easy to register, easy to deposit, easy to find your bet, and live betting, fast withdrawals as well. There's no feeling like nailing a same game parlay bet. So lock in your bet today, and it's easy on FanDuel Sportsbook. New customers, you're going to get up to $1,000 back in free bets if your first bet doesn't win with promo code ZONE. It's easy. That's promo code ZONE. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 over, present Iowa. First online real money wager. Only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued to non-withdrawable free bets that expire 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-BETS-OFF.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Got to go to the victory formation here. Wow. What a cleansing win, Matt, tonight.
These guys, yeah, they needed this one, Greg. Sorry to interrupt you there, but they really needed this one. Guys have worked hard. You know, this is a tough game to play. You got to work hard 365 days a year practically, and you want to see some fruits of the labor. Just happy for these players, this coaching staff, and just a little bit of positive momentum in this program, and really needed it before going on the road.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone. Matt Davison there, of course, the color commentator on Husker Sports Network. You could hear it in his voice, another guy who was as much as look, man, some people have problems with Matt, and that's fine. Whatever your personal issue may be, that's up to you. But you can hear in his voice, much like I think you hear in any former Huskers voice or fan, that it meant a lot just to finally get off the snide and win a game. And it is important to get this win in front of the home crowd, give them a little bit of energy as well. So then you go on the road Friday night and get a couple back-to-back road games and then come back here and try to maintain a winning streak. So you could hear it in his voice what it meant for Nebraska to get that win last night. Let's go back to the phones, 402-951-1620. That's where Rodney is this morning. What's up, Rodney?
What's up, man? Good morning, man.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I feel better. Hey, nice to hear your voice again, man. Just eliminated a lot of us.
I wouldn't say eliminate. I think we eliminated ourselves. We did.
I believe it.
Yep.
Hey, I like what I seen on defense.
Yeah.
They didn't do a lot of extra stuff. And it made them work hard. I seen them playing man up on the defensive line, pushing them back, playing man-to-man in the secondary. I mean, I think they really needed that workout.
Oh, I agree with you, Rodney. And I like the fact that they gave other guys chances. There were guys that didn't play well this year, and they benched those guys, and they played the other guys. I thought it was great.
Yeah, and that's going to help with the competition in practice. Because, the little guy got a touchdown. He was pumped up on the sideline.
He is a little guy.
I didn't know he was a freshman.
True freshman, little dude, man. He had a big, big play in the game. That was awesome for him.
Yeah. Well, nice hearing your voice again, man.
All right, you take it easy, Rodney. Good hearing from you, too. Yeah, Malcolm Herzog, freshman, makes a couple plays. The secondary overall, I think they had 8 total, not just secondary, but 8 total PBUs yesterday. And look at the variety. Reimers had 2, Newsom had 1, Farmer had 1, Herzog had 2, Jamari Butler had that 1, even Mathis had a knockdown, had a PBU as well. We'll take a break when we come back. We were talking about the emotion of this thing, and we heard from Trev after the game. We'll hear that again. You heard it in Mickey's voice when they asked him about getting the first one. And then we also saw Pender native Bill Bush on the field after the game with his family, and you saw the emotion from him. What a great video of him, not just seeing his immediate family, but his parents, other people coming over to hug him as well. It was pretty cool. We'll talk more about that on hour number 2 of Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone.
Gain presents a tale of longing and long-lasting scent. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer-lasting scent.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Men over 40. Is your body feeling softer and not as lean? Losing your energy and muscle? If so, you could be feeling the loss of growth hormone. The reality is, as early as 25, your natural production of GH begins to significantly slow down, which means you start slowing down. Well, listen to this. GH Boost from Nugenix is the world's first and only non-prescription supplement that safely supercharges your body's GH production and helps you get a great night's sleep. Clinical studies show the ingredients in GH Boost can increase your body's own GH levels more than 100% in just the first 90 minutes. And right now, Nugenix is letting every man in America try a complimentary 2-week sample by texting CHART to 321321 now. Get GH Boost and get your swagger back at the gym and in the bedroom. It's killing it at GNC, but you can only get your sample by texting CHART to 321321. That's CHART to 321321. Text CHART to 321321.
These products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
For the early rises in Lincoln and Omaha, Saturday mornings join a new congregation. The guys from the Church of the Corn are now live every Saturday morning on 1620 The Zone. Catch Zach, Drake, and yes, even Fitz. Saturday mornings from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on 1620 The Zone. Join the choir every Saturday and find out. The Church of the Corn is in session every Saturday morning, 8 to 10, right here on 1620 The Zone.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs. Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
First of all, I want to tell you guys how proud I am of you. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for how hard you've worked. You've gone through a lot, all this adversity. And I can't begin to tell you how proud I am of you. Thank you for representing us so well. But tonight is about another guy. His first win.
Welcome back to Severe Reaction, 1620 The Zone, hour number 2. There was a lot of cool things, and there's always cool things when you win a game. Nebraska beats Indiana 35-21. You get to hear from a winning head coach. You get to hear from winning players. You don't always get to hear from the AD, especially an athletic director as invested in the University of Nebraska as Trev Alberts is. But not only did he give the game ball, do the proud speech, not only did he give the game ball to Mickey, but when the jump around stuff started happening, the celebration, he was right in the middle of it. He dove into it. It wasn't like he moved to the side and the players and the coaches were doing. He was right there in the middle of it, jumping around and celebrating it. Say whatever you want about the way this whole thing has been handled since Trev came in to replace Bill Moose, but he's been on the sideline at the end of almost every game I've been down there. And when Nebraska lost to Michigan last year in a very tough one, he was right there to console Scott Frost and console the team. When they got the win against Northwestern, he was down there celebrating with them, high fives and chest bumps and everything else. And he is incredibly invested in this whole thing, which we knew he would be. And he's right there out front. And he's making sure everybody knows he's right there out front. Now, I'm sure when he hires the new coach, whoever it is, he'll back off a little bit, I think, to let that guy become the ultimate leader. But as of right now, where you have a first-time head coach at this level, a team that struggled, all these changes, he's really, in a way, the face of the program, and that's why he's out front there. But that was pretty cool. And then I mentioned before break, Bill Bush, who has been basically everywhere in this league and in college football and been around, coached everywhere, all different conferences, but started his career here. He's from here. He's from Nebraska. And again, it means more for a lot of those guys to be from Nebraska. Look at the example. So Bill Bush, who is from Pender, Nebraska, and Nebraska Wesleyan, Northern Arizona, New Mexico State, I'm sure it was maybe the WAC back then, Utah when they were in the Mountain West, Utah State, Wisconsin in the Big Ten, Ohio State, Rutgers, and then back to LSU, and then back here to Nebraska. I mean, that's a heck of a run. Experiencing a bunch of great coaches, experiencing a bunch of different leagues, and he was given a task that was not easy. If you heard Garrett Nelson after the game kind of talking about some of the changes they made and some of the things they did, that wasn't easy. I mean, he had to walk in, change some verbiage, right? Make things a little bit easier, evaluate the players that he thought that could maybe make a difference that weren't playing, and get those guys in. And then between all that, call the game. And there were a couple times, especially at the end of the second quarter, where you saw Nebraska's defense struggling to kind of get lined up against Indiana's pace. But for the most part, they did pretty well. Just look at the overall numbers. Indiana didn't come in as a great offense. Indiana came in as a really poor rushing offense. Matter of fact, coming into the game, they were 6th from the bottom. I believe they were 125th in rush offense. That's yards per game. Yesterday, Nebraska, if you take away the sacks, 67 yards, that's about the average of what Indiana's had all year. I think they were averaging 2.2 or 2.3, somewhere in there, yards per carry. They ended up with 2.9. 95 yards, if you don't take the sack yards away for Nebraska, 172 yards. If you don't take the sacks number away, 3.3 yards per, which isn't great. But Anthony Grant was over 4 in terms of his rushing. It was one of those games where Bill Bush was tasked with making a bunch of different changes, making it look pretty seamless. And then in the end of the game, when he's standing there on the field and the video shows him seeing his family, seeing his parents, having everybody come up and congratulate him, they all knew what it meant to him to have to do this, what this week meant to him, how much he had to put into it, how much the team had to put into it, how much everybody had to put into it to be able to turn this thing around. And he did, and they dialed up the pressure. So another thing, I always chart the havoc numbers, at least this season. That's what one of my pet things this season. So hurries-wise, Caleb Tanner, who didn't necessarily have a bunch of stats, defensive stats. Everybody likes to look at sacks and, of course, tackles and TFLs. He didn't have a lot of that, but he had 3 pressures, official pressures. He had other ones where he did things to make the quarterback move off of where he was, right off his spot. He had 3 official pressures. That's big for him. That's big for Caleb. Caleb Tanner is playing really good football right now. He doesn't get talked about a ton. Garrett Nelson gets most of the press because he's getting the sacks. But Caleb Tanner's playing well. And then we've kind of, some people have been on Mathis about how he's played and what they expected. Late in the game on a couple of those late drives by Indiana, O'Shawn Mathis got to the quarterback and had pressures as well. So 2 more pressures for him, and they both were in the fourth quarter. 4 total sacks, 2 by Garrett Nelson, 1 by Ty Robinson. And then PBUs, I mentioned this earlier, 8 of those. You had the interception. TFLs, you only really had 2 TFLs, but you had, if you don't count the sacks, you did have 3 other stuff plays, which is 0 game, which I don't, it's not a TFL, but I think a stuff is as important as a TFL is when you don't allow them to have any yards on a run or a pass or run, excuse me. But if you look overall at what it was, 8 pass breakups, you had the 1 block, and they gave him credit with 6 quarterback hurries. And I had down, 6, same as the stat numbers did. So Nebraska's defense under Bill Bush, getting a little bit more pressure, tackling better, according to PFF. And I'm not sure if Husker Online always posts the PFF numbers, and I don't believe they have the defense up yet. I saw the offense up this morning, but defense only 6 missed tackles. That's what PFF counted for Nebraska, only 6 missed tackles And they were averaging, obviously double digits. There were times when Nebraska had 15, 16 missed tackles in a game, and that's a big part of it. And Mickey said, we're going to tackle during practice. We're going to work on it. We're going to take guys to the ground and get better on that. Offensive grades from PFF, getting from Husker Online, the On3 site. KC Thompson, almost a 70% grade, 69.5. Anthony Grant, 66.6 was his overall grade. 64 snaps for Anthony Grant. Gabe Irvin had 16, and Jock Yan had 6 snaps in there, those 2 carries. And it also was part of 1 pass play. And then a lot of people, this is one of the things I was standing on a soapbox for before the season. I knew how talented Trey Palmer was. And yeah, it was only flashes at LSU because of the guys he was behind, the multiple NFL draft picks that he was behind while he was there. And people would point and say, well, he only had this many catches, only had this many yards while he was at LSU. We saw how talented he was on punt returns. We saw how talented he could be. And you saw yesterday, 45 snaps for Trey Palmer, targeted 9, caught 8. His overall grade, 91.4. One of the best grade, it might be the best grade, at least on the offense, it's the best grade that any Nebraskan had according to PFF. And he shows you his speed because he's a naturally fast guy. And when I mean naturally fast guy, what I'm trying to say is his gait is natural. When you watch him run, it doesn't necessarily look like he is putting a ton of energy into it, but he's just fast. There's guys that Stanley Morgan was a great example of a guy who looked like he was always running hard to get everything he could out of it. Trey Palmer's kind of a glider. And that speed, I think at times will help him get by a corner because the corner doesn't think he's really, until he's up on his heels and he realizes he's getting passed up, he's like, uh-oh, I have to fix this. And it's too late. So he played a really good game. It was nice to see him out there. I'm glad he's getting the opportunity. Great decision by him to follow Mickey, a guy that he built a relationship with. He follows him in Nebraska, and he makes those plays he made yesterday. Obviously going to be the offensive player of the game for Nebraska. And then we mentioned going to break, offensive line. And I don't want to rag on Benhart because everybody has, and his play has shown that. But there was a time in the last couple of times that I've watched him play, just isolating him on, watching the game back, where he not only misses a block or doesn't make a play, but it doesn't look like it affect him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he doesn't care, but he had that play where Chuba gets sacked, and yeah, they send a guy inside, and the running back's going to pick up one, but they picked up neither. And multiple times we've seen Benhart where he has a choice of 1 or 2 guys, and he gets neither. That just can't happen. And so finally he gets benched, again, this time for Hunter Anthony because they're so shorthanded. With Turner Corcoran getting ejected, and we know Prohaska out and all the problems they have injury-wise, they were up against it in terms of their numbers. But Hunter Anthony, the transfer from Oklahoma State, comes in, and I'm not saying he was perfect by any means. He wasn't. But he didn't cost Nebraska points like Benhart did. And I watched him, and I think it looks like he's playing hard, And again, he wasn't great. Hunter Anthony was not great when he came in. Someone sent me a DM and said, who's playing better? And again, neither one of them were playing well, but only one of them cost the team points, and that was Bryce Benhart. Overall, the best score was Ethan Piper, according to PFF, 69 grade overall. They had Benhart for his passing grade 62 and his running grade 66.7. I don't have any idea how they got that. Any idea whatsoever. Because I can think of in my head, without going back and watching the game, 3 or 4 plays pass-wise where he just completely whiffed what he was supposed to be doing. Best score overall for pass grade was Brant Banks when he had a chance to come in, 82.9. Wow. That's a heck of a pass pro grade. And then Henry Letofsky, he only played 10 plays, but a 79.4 pass grade. Best run grade was Turner Corcoran before he got ejected, 71.6 for the offensive line and the offensive linemen. So going forward, I don't know if that means that Hunter Anthony has earned his opportunity to be a starter now, or they're going to continue rotating them, or how they'll figure that out. But they've got to get the development going. They've got to get the depth going, and figure out a way to play the best guys and play them through some mistakes, yes, until they get better. We've seen enough of some of these guys making mistakes that they're not going to get any better. We'll take a break. More on this, on the game. We'll also look at a little bit more of the bench players who contributed and the guys who got their opportunities when we come back here. Severe Reaction on 1620 The Zone.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you'll be speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 1019 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
When you're a kid and it feels like no one is in your corner, it's a pretty tough place to be. And let's not forget the spikes in depression and anxiety from the pandemic. That's where Teammates can help. When kids have mentors through Teammates, they're more likely to feel engaged in school and more hopeful for the future. Just by simply being there, mentors can make students feel confident in their own skin, even when everything else seems to go wrong. Become a mentor and be there for a student by going to teammates.org. A message from JTech Construction, proud supporter of Teammates Mentoring. JTech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers, offers exterior solutions that help you protect your number one investment. Whether it's roofing and siding or windows and doors, they're committed to excellence, quality, and outstanding customer service in every step of the process. When it's time to protect the exterior of your home, your choice is simple. Turn to who the Huskers turn to, JTech Construction. Check them out online and schedule a free estimate today. JTech Construction, the official exterior experts of the Huskers.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Yeah, and early in the game, he wasn't seeing it. So, I was asking after why is he bouncing everything? And he told me why he was bouncing, but he wasn't seeing it. So we told him just slow down a little bit because we thought Casey thought he was rushing a lot of the runs. Slow down a little bit, see it, let it develop, and then hit it.
Mickey Joseph talking about Anthony Grant and the way he was playing early. So over the years, asking Nebraska fans what they want to see from their football team. And a lot of people always say just want to see good football, but adjustments is something you hear people talk about all the time, right? And they saw Anthony Grant not seeing it, rushing it, whatever else early on. And not only did they see it from the sideline, but according to Mickey Joseph, Casey Thompson saw it too and went to them and said, hey, he's doing this, he's doing that. And because of that, they're like, okay, let's take him into the locker room. Let's tell him what the problems are. In the first quarter, Anthony Grant had 30 yards rushing. In the second quarter, I believe he had 4. Let me see. 6. He only had 1 carry in the second quarter for whatever reason. And it's because they said he wasn't seeing it. You come back to the second half, and first back to have over 30 carries since Amir Abdullah, and it was a workmanlike performance. He had seven carries for 26 yards in the third quarter. And he had 6 carries. Sorry, 6 carries in the second quarter, 7 in the third quarter, and then 12 to end the game by just winding out the clock. 12 for 47 net in the fourth quarter. Wasn't seeing it early. They talked to him. They made adjustments at halftime. And he came back out and played better. That's all you can ask for your coaches and your players. Let's go back to the phones, 402-951-1620. Ken, the talent guy. What's up, Ken? How you doing?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
You know, it's a Sunday. I'm a Saints fan. I'm doing this show, and I'm trying to concentrate. It's hard. It's hard.
Hey, I got you, bro. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm trying to make it home so I can get ready. I got to go and catch it at DJ's or somewhere because they're not showing it in Omaha, So
yeah.
Got to go somewhere else and find it.
Which DJs is your DJs? Which one do you go to?
Ask Starby.
Oh, me too. That's where I am. I'm always there too.
Yep.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm going to go there today. But, drum I beat, man, as far as these Huskers go, is that talent. And I will say that last night's probably the first game this year where I would have taken a majority of the Husker guys over the guys on the other team. It looks like they had, a little more talent than what Indiana had out there. And, those guys look like they were playing and they didn't do what they normally do. They didn't crumble under adversity, like they did in the past, and I really commend them for that. But, I'm out here on the road driving, and I'll say this. When I finally got a chance to sit down and look at some of the scores, and I seen that TCU Oklahoma score, man, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
What happened? That's like, so I'm like, dang, is Oklahoma not good, TCU that good, or and how does that relate to what happened, with Nebraska against Oklahoma?
Hey, Ken.
What I was thinking.
Hey, it's funny, Ken, because I think if Nebraska had a mobile quarterback, right? If they had an Adrian Martinez like we saw last year, they would have given Oklahoma the same problems. They can't handle a mobile quarterback. Max Duggan lit him up just like Adrian Martinez lit him up the week before. They just can't deal with the mobile quarterback, man.
Is that what it was? Like
Yeah.
I said, I didn't really get to see many highlights, but yeah, I know Duggan. He's a capable guy. Got his chance after the other guy down there got hurt. So.
Yep, no doubt. Ken, hey, we appreciate it, man. Be safe.
All right, man. Yeah, you have a good day, man.
Yeah, Duggan, Lewis Central guy, never was really on the radar for Nebraska, committed pretty early to TCU, and didn't wait for Nebraska, which is what you got to do these days. I watch him play, Max I'm talking about, and I just love the energy, how much bigger he's gotten by working in the weight room. He looks like he's faster than he was in high school, and he had good speed. He had I think he ran track, I'm pretty sure, at Lewis Central. He's a guy that has just progressively gotten, I think this is his sixth year now, and was sharing time. The other guy gets hurt. There's a backup there who is very athletic as well, who could be playing, but Max fought him off. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to TCU. But Nebraska doesn't have the ability, at least with Casey Thompson, to really threaten you with a running quarterback. And, my friend Devin mentioned some of the things that they don't do that they used to do under Frost. And he mentioned orbit motion, and then the QB run game. That threat of the QB run game, it wore Oklahoma out against TCU. They just couldn't handle it. And we've seen over the years the threat for Nebraska, and now they don't have it. And I know there are people that will tell you, and defensive coordinators have said this to me before, you can't just bring a quarterback in and everybody knows what he's going to do. Logan Smothers comes in, you're probably thinking, okay, he's going to run some sort of option stuff. But you know what? If you do it well in college, it doesn't matter if they know it's coming. You'll still succeed with it because that's what college football is all about. So a package for Logan Smothers, having him run a little bit, or if you don't want to do Logan Smothers, you could have it with somebody else. We saw Purdy come in and run the option, probably should have pitched it, kept it, either got no gain or lost a yard. So you got to be able to have some sort of threat of a running quarterback. And right now, Nebraska really doesn't do it. Not saying that Thompson isn't reasonably athletic. He's just not good enough to put a serious threat into the defense like some guys that Nebraska's had in the past. We'll take a break. Tied, by the way, NFL game 7-7. Saints go down after getting an interception. Tyrann Mathieu picks off Kirk Cousins. Saints drive down, get a touchdown to make it 7-7 there in London early in the morning. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More severe reaction here on 1620 The Zone.
Hi, guys. It's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 1019 The Keg and 1620 The Zone.
Rally House, shop every team in town. College and pro, come on, it's time to go.
Get ready for kickoff, Omaha. Rally House has the game day gear you're looking for, including Chiefs sideline gear and the latest college styles.
Nebraska Cornhuskers, Creighton Blue Jays, Hawkeye Cyclones, Chiefs and Royals. Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's a Rally House.
Gear up in-store and online at rallyhouse.com.
Ew. Stuck in a cycle of rewashing your clothes? Ugh. Because you can't remove tough laundry odor? Ugh. When detergent by itself can't cut it, use new Downy Rinse and Refresh. With a breakthrough odor-removing formula, it removes odors in one wash, better than the leading value detergent in 3 washes, keeping all your laundry fresh. Now you can break the cycle of rewashing with Downy Rinse and Refresh.
Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Shivers the back. They snap it back. Backpedaling, throwing over the middle, pass caught. And short of the first down, a flag comes out as well. A couple flags come out. And Nebraska says they have the football, but they jarred it loose at the end.
Holding. Offense. Number 50. That penalty is declined.
Yes.
The ruling on the field is an interception.
Yes.
Interception.
You heard in Greg's voice right there, interception? What? There were a couple times yesterday where literally you said, what happened on that play? One, because the referee is not, even though he is kind of verbose, he doesn't necessarily have that confidence when he tells you what's happening. And so you're almost like surprised by what he said. And in that situation, a lot of people thought it was going to be targeting. We thought he was going to call something else. But then you're like, interception? What the heck? And then you see the replay, and great play by Ramirez. Great hit. And then the ball's just laying there, and he grabs it. He's just a ball hawk, man. Such a ball hawk. He's a good player. Is there somebody on hold that wants to talk, or what is that that's going on? What you got?
Oh, yeah. I don't know their name yet. I was dealing with another issue.
So they're just the mysterious caller?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you want to put them on without knowing their name?
We can go to a mysterious caller. That's fine. 402-951-1620. A mysterious caller on 1. Hello, good morning. How are you?
How you doing, Michael? It's Gary from New Jersey. I've called you before.
Hey, Gary. Oh, big Friday coming up for you, man. Rutgers games will be fun.
I'll be up there, but I've got to be honest with you. I know you remember me. I'm the Ramirez Johnson
Yes,
guy.
yes.
I don't even know if he's on the team anymore. I didn't see him on special teams. I didn't see him on the sidelines. Do you think you could find out for us?
Well, we've asked the question multiple times, and they keep saying the same stuff, that he's kind of stuck between positions. I have no idea at this point. I assume they think he's just going to go in the portal at this point. That's all I can figure. why he's not playing. But I'm with you. I don't get it.
I saw it was Zero, the other running back as a gunner.
Yep.
On the punts, and I didn't see him on the sideline. So I'm thinking I'm not going to see him next week, but I'll be there yelling and screaming. So you guys will see me. It's always good to talk to you, Mike.
Hey, I appreciate it. Have fun in the game Friday night. I wish I could be there because it's perfect. You go to the game on Friday, and then you spend a couple of days hanging out in New York City. It's a great trip for a lot of people. A lot of people are making that trip.
Absolutely. Yep. It's about 10 minutes from my house. So I'll see everybody up there.
And I believe the Mets will be playing a home wild card game, I believe, that weekend too, by the look of the way they're playing against the Braves right now. So you'll have that too if you want to go to. Yeah. All right, Gary, we appreciate it, man.
Take care, man. Bye.
A chance for Nebraska to go to back-to-back wins going up to Rutgers. It's not going to be easy. Friday night, your schedule's all changed. Rutgers is not a bad team. Now, they're banged up at quarterback. Noah Vegel's been hurt. Starter was announced to be out for this past week. The third quarterback was going. I saw him get banged up during the game against Ohio State. So I'm not sure what they'll have quarterback-wise. I'm sure if Noah, anything that Noah can do to play in the game, I'm sure he's going to want to play in the game. But they came out and Ohio State had an early turnover. Rutgers scored. Play somehow got taken off the board. I didn't see what happened. I was in the car driving. And then they end up getting the touchdown. It's 21-7 for most of the first quarter. Greg Schiano is a great coach. He's obviously at Rutgers where the talent level he has isn't going to allow him to be great. But game for game, if you're going to give me somebody to prepare, get a defense ready, make adjustments, Greg Schiano's that guy. Greg Schiano can coach. He and Ryan Day got into it. If you didn't see it, check it out. For whatever reason, and I thought, so it's a fake punt in the fourth quarter. Ohio State's up a lot. And I think what happened was the punter is told, if this happens in this situation, just run for the first down. Like they saw something on tape, just run for it. Now, don't do it when you're up 35 or whatever else, but he did it anyway. Aaron Cruikshank, who is still at Rutgers. Remember Aaron at Wisconsin back in 2001? That's the same guy. Not 2001, I'm exaggerating. But Eric Cruikshank is still playing. Comes up, lays out the punter out of bounds in the white. And, of course, everybody goes crazy. Somehow Schiano ends up all the way on the other side of the field. He's yelling at Ryan Day. Ryan Day's yelling back at him. Personally, out of all the coaches in the Big Ten, I think Schiano probably can brawl. I wouldn't want to mess with him. Ryan Day's a guy who dyes his beard, so I'm not sure if he's a guy you want fighting. But I guarantee you Schiano will fight you. And so at the end, they all made up. It's understandable getting mad. You're up by a lot, and that happens. But anyway, you get Rutgers, their home turf. Kind of a disaster right now at quarterback for them. You're feeling good. Have a great week of preparation. One of the most important things that Mickey said yesterday after the game was the 24-hour rule. How many times this season have we seen a team upset somebody? And this wasn't an upset. Nebraska's favored by 6.5. But get a win and then let that win stay with them too long during the week. And then the next week, they lose. Right? We saw Middle Tennessee State destroy Miami. You're like, oh, I bet you they're celebrating that until Wednesday and Thursday of the week. And then when Saturday comes around, they're not going to be ready to play. We saw that too many times. And I think Nebraska's got to figure out a way to get over that as quickly as possible. Forget that they finally beat somebody. And when Monday comes around, that's over. It didn't even happen. Let's get ready for Rutgers and stop thinking about beating Indiana. Casey Thompson has got to get healthy. That shoulder he fell on, you go back and look at that hit, it rocked him. And he can say that he feels good. You could see how hurt he was leaving the field. And you could even see it bother him a little bit later in the game. So he's got to get healthy. And, defensively, they got to figure out if some of those young guys they played, Malcolm Herzog, is it now his job? By the way, let me give credit to Tommy Hill. I don't want to forget him. Tommy Hill, who, when he got benched a couple of weeks ago, kind of lost it on the sideline with his helmet and everything. Tommy Hill was one of the first guys to come out and celebrate with Herzog after the first drive when Nebraska forced the 3-and-out. He was right there, high-fiving him, hugging him. He lost his job to this guy, and he was supportive of him. And then Tommy Hill on special teams had a couple down punts, had a tackle, played really well after getting benched as a starter, which is not easy. Matter of fact, he even had an interesting, to me, kickoff return. It didn't end up happening because there was offsetting penalties. Nebraska had a holding. There was an offsides on the kickoff. But watching him return that kickoff, I think down the road, he might bust one. He's got pretty good instincts. He's quick. He's got a nice explosion. I think he could break one. But anyway, Tommy Hill, give him credit for dealing with the benching and coming out there and still playing well in the opportunity that he had. So good for him. And then they got to figure out, of course, offensive line. Is Hunter Henry the answer at right tackle? I don't think there'll be any further punishment for Turner Corcoran. He'll be back out there next week. And so you got to figure out, do you feel good with Hunter Henry, or do you want to go back to Benhart, or how are you going to deal with that? That's another big question before they play Friday night against Rutgers. We'll take a break. We'll come back more on the game from Saturday. Look at some of the other games that happened in the Big Ten and the Big Ten West. Everybody but Wisconsin tied for first place. More on that when we come back here on Severe and Benning. Well, not Severe and Benning. Severe Reaction on 1620 The Sun.
Brian Radke here from Sunday Night Football on Westwood One. It's a marquee matchup of quarterbacks in prime time for Week 4 when Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers face Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, with both looking to bounce back from losses last week. Mike Golick and I have the call on air or on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone. Join us on Sunday Night Football.
Right here on 1620 The Zone.
Football season is underway, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back. If your first bet doesn't win, just sign up with the promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. So sign up today with promo code WIN for your no-sweat first bet. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
Must be present in state where lawful to wager. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. Arizona 1-800-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Indiana, Kansas 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana 1-877-770-STOP. New York 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming, West Virginia 1-800-522-4700 or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
Here's an opportunity for business-to-business salespeople. NRG Media is looking for someone who gets excited about helping local businesses grow. Are you an idea person who can create and execute a plan? We should talk. At NRG Media, we create local marketing campaigns designed to meet a key challenge. On air, online, on-site, audio, video. It's all part of what you can do. A sales career with NRG lets you make a real difference. Business-to-business salespeople? Apply online at nrgmedia.com. NRG Media is an equal opportunity employer.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone. Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
Two wideouts to the near side, one on the far side. They split a man out. Lucas again back to throw. His days like being rushed. Gets hit. Goes down. Jared Nelson's got himself a Big Mac sack.
Yes. You take your hat off to the kids first, and then you take your hat off to Bill for simplifying some things and the way they practice. These kids got a lot of pride. You know, they've been close. They've been close with a lot of games. So they finally got to the fourth quarter today and separated themselves in the full quarter. They played 4 quarters of football. Finally, that's how you win close games. You got to play 4 quarters.
Welcome back, Severe Reaction, 1620 The Zone. 4 quarters, something that Mickey talked about in the post game a number of times, number of mentions, both in the radio post game the post game at the press conference, and then also the TV post game, finishing. And so many of the games that Nebraska is going to play down the stretch, because we've seen it the last few years, and we see it in the Big Ten all the time, are going to come down to Nebraska making some plays in the fourth quarter. And if you're going to take anything away from that game on Saturday, I think the biggest takeaway would be the way they ran the ball in the fourth quarter, milking the clock, Anthony Grant getting his yards, and you looked up and you're like, was that a 6-minute drive? How long was that drive? That's probably one of the biggest takeaways overall when you're looking at what they could do going forward for the most part. Two people now have told me, Ed and Mark both said that Ramirez was on the sidelines in street clothes yesterday. So he wasn't dressed out. No word on injury. He's not playing. I can't imagine how he's feeling right now in terms of what was said about him in the spring, what was said about him in the fall, and then all of a sudden not to get anything. In this season, all I can remember is 3 times him being in the backfield. I think 2 different targets. That's about it. That's all he's had. That's all he's ever had, even had an opportunity to get. So I'm sure it's got to be frustrating for him. And like some people said earlier in the season when he wasn't playing, he's probably going to look to, transfer closer to home, because anytime that Yant's in front of you, and I know people want Jock Yant to be good, and I know they want him to be something where he's going to make a difference on offense, but man, I watch him in pregame. I watch him during the game. Maybe if he would have been on the defensive side of the ball since he was a young kid and played maybe defensive end, he would be better. Because looking at his size and looking at the way he moves, I'm not sure if running back was the best choice for him when he was a kid. I'd rather see him be like a 4-3 defensive end, not a 3-4 defensive end. Obviously, got to be bigger than that. And I don't know if he'd be a big outside linebacker in a 3-4, but I don't know. He just does not look like a guy that I think should have been a running back, at least at this level. Even at the goal line, you watch his vision at the goal line. You watch his explosion into contact into the goal line. As big as he is, it's just not natural. I don't know what it is about him. But to have that guy in front of you, if you're Ramirez Johnson, you're probably thinking, what else do I need to do? Gabe Ervin coming off of a major injury in front of you. And, of course, the freshman before he got hurt, A.J. Allen, was in front of you. It's got to be incredibly frustrating for a guy like Ramirez Johnson, who I think many of us thought would make an impact this year, especially coming off of the way he played last year at times and all of the discussion stuff that happened during the offseason. They talked him up so much. Over at Husker Online, they posted the defensive snap grades for the Husker Black Shirts. And Jamari Butler, who only had those 3 plays we talked about earlier, where he had a tackle and he also had a PBU, 91.9 overall grade, your highest grade among the defensive line. Now, again, it was only 3 plays. You know what that tells me? He should have played more. Where was he later? He should have been in more. I saw him on special teams later, but where was he? Ty Robinson had a nice game, grade of a 70. Garrett Nelson, 71.6, and O'Shawn Mathis, 70. Those are your top grades from the defensive side of the ball, your lowest grade overall. And Caleb Tanner had a good game. He's the lowest overall grade that I see on here, he and Blaze Gunnerson. But Caleb Tanner had at least 3 hurries, and then 2 or 3 other times I thought that he was close to getting a hurry by playing pretty well. I'm surprised that I thought he played well. Linebackers, Luke Reimer had your highest grade, not a surprise. Almost 90% grade for Luke Reimer. And in coverage, 89.6. 51 total plays for Luke, 51 total plays for Nick Henrich as well. Good grade from Henrich. Isaac Gifford, a 75.5, it looks like, grade. Pretty good for Isaac Gifford as well. He had a nice game running around. And then the secondary, Malcolm Herzog getting his first start. 70 snaps for the kid. Tackling wasn't great. They gave him a low score on tackling. overall grade wasn't bad. Marcus Buford, who has moments where he looks like he's the best player in the secondary. And then he has moments where you think, what are you doing? And what position do you fit best at? He's not a true corner. He's not a true safety. He's a kind of a nickel guy, but I don't know if he's big enough to be a nickel guy. Anyway, he had a good tackling grade. He's a very good tackler at 80%. His overall grade was 50.2. And then the highest grade overall in the secondary was Deshaun Singleton, only 7 plays, 64.6 for Deshaun Singleton. The overall grade from the guys who played a while, Malcolm Herzog, as I mentioned. Highest grade as a true freshman out there doing work. 402-951-1620 if you want to be involved. Last 15 minutes of the show. Of course, Friday night, which is, it's funny, when they first start talking about Friday night college football games in the Big Ten, I thought, it's kind of nice, change things up. I don't think that'll ever happen for Nebraska at home, but, it's kind of cool. You don't want to ever do that in Lincoln. You don't want to sacrifice a full Saturday for just a Friday night. I look at it and I think to myself, I really want to go see a high school game on Friday. I want to go see Westside play Kearney. At the same time, I got to watch the Nebraska game. It kind of sucks. Just first world problems, I know. It kind of sucks. Dropped by the Minnesota Vikings on a 3rd and 1. I think they'll be kicking a field goal to take the lead 10-7 going into halftime. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up Severe Reaction here on 1620 The Zone.
Husker coverage on 1620 The Zone is presented by Tickets for Less. Tickets for Less is your local source for Nebraska football tickets. Compare and save today at ticketsforless.com. All the Nebraska football news, stories, experts, and coverage you need is on 1620 The Zone.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-341-8735 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-341-8735. That's 800-341-8735. What do you have to lose? Call 800-341-8735. Again, 800-341-8735.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Brookside Medical Clinic. Is erectile dysfunction damaging your relationship? Are you sick of the pill and all the side effects? Well, welcome to the future. We have a major medical breakthrough. Brookside Medical Clinic uses the most advanced form of wave therapy. Backed by 60 clinical studies, our technology uses pressure waves to repair and open up blood vessels. We've helped countless men get rid of their ED. But what is the true end result? Their relationship, even their lives, improve drastically. If you're ready to regain your love life, call us right now, and not only will the assessment and ultrasound be free, we'll also give you a gift that produces immediate results in the bedroom. It almost never fails. This is worth $550, and it's free to callers right now. 402-671-7777. That's 402-671-7777. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and experience what I call the happiness ripple effect. Call Brookside Medical Clinic now. 402-671-7777.
Get a full breakdown of what went right and what went wrong immediately after every Nebraska game with Big Red Overreaction. Presented by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. And by Coors Light, keeping Nebraska chill. Also brought to you by Burton AC Heating, Plumbing, and more. Join the show immediately after the game and sound off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Big Red Overreaction on 101.9 The Keg and 1620 The Zone. Now, back to Severe Reaction, powered by Equitable Bank. We take banking personally. Here's your host, Michael Severe, on 1620 The Zone.
The long pass play from Casey Thompson to Trey Palmer for the 71-yard touchdown. Alante Brown just did a backflip in the middle of the field. The fans are cheering. What a feel, what a sense of relief for a program that has been through an awful lot in the last 3 weeks.
One of the final calls of the game from Greg Sharp on Husker Sports Network. You heard that relief in his voice. You heard it earlier from Matt Davison. You heard it from Mickey Joseph. You heard it from the players. You heard it from everybody in terms of the relief of finally getting a win. Go to the phones before we wrap it up. 402-951-1620. That's where Andrew is this morning. What's up, Andrew?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, see you, Andrew. What's up?
Yes, it is. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'd be better if the Saints didn't fumble down here in the red zone.
Well, it's nice talking to you again. I wish you were on the radio more.
That's nice to say.
No problem. On the safety.
Yeah.
It looked like the Indiana guys did a stunt where the inside guy went outside.
Yep.
And the outside guy went inside. Is that an automatic switch where Benhart should take the outside guy and Grant should take the inside guy, or they stuck to a certain player?
So the blitz, right? Because it wasn't a stunt as much of it was the blitz from the number 4 from the secondary. I think personally that Grant should have picked him up, and Benhart should have stayed with the tackle. That's what I thought should have happened.
Is that something that's automatically like you practice it where Benhart should move to the outside and the running back should always take the inside?
Two things. If the quarterback sees the possibility of the blitz, he certainly can indicate that as a hot, so he knows that side of the line is going to be adjusting to extra pressure. He can even turn to the back to give that. But in general, yes, they're prepared for that sort of thing, and they have responsibilities that they have to do. Like, so they know, one, I got to protect, inside out, closest guy, and then also if it's a blitzer, what the running back has to do. They prepare for all of that. But if he sees it, that's even better, because then he can indicate to the line, hey, but it's Purdy in for the third play of this series, hasn't been out there a lot, so they caught a guy who hasn't had experienced a lot of that as well.
Yeah, I was just wondering who took what, if that was an automatic read or. But thank you very much for the information.
No problem, Andrew. I appreciate it. Good hearing from you. I don't believe, and I don't know exactly how they do it, but I know in practice they prepare for that. They prepare for a plus pressure in that situation, what the running back's supposed to do, what the tackle's supposed to do. Here's the issue. Neither guy got blocked. Neither one of them got blocked. They both got back there. And one of them gets their hold on Chuba Purdy. He gets flipped over, and he ends up on the Indiana player, so he's not down. Ball comes out, touchdown, fumble, touchdown, whatever. So it was one of those situations where you had a combination of problems happening at the same time. They have had a problem with stunts and late pressure all season long. And you don't want to blame the offensive line coach because, again, you're not at practice watching what happens, but it hasn't necessarily gotten better. So is that because they don't have the talent on their offensive line to be able to deal with it? Is it because, losing Newelly before the season started, who was probably your best guard, losing Prohaska, who's your best tackle, and having to move guys around, Turner Corcoran, who wasn't going to be on a tackle, was going to be at guard, gets moved back to tackle, all of that happening, it's probably a reason why they haven't been able to adjust very well and be able to make those plays. But in general, I just don't see them getting better. Yes, they won the game yesterday. But how many times? Was 4 sacks? Was it 4 sacks? Is how many times between Chuba and Thompson got? I think it was 4 total sacks. I just don't see them adjusting. Yeah, 4 for 48 is what Indiana had. And had pressure and got back there a lot. I just don't see the adjustment. And I don't want to point that as being an issue with the offensive line coach. Is that a talent issue? Is it maybe development? I'm not sure. This is something that's been consistent now for multiple years, where in the end, there's some offense I don't believe they can run because the offensive line is playing the way it is. You'd love to see Nebraska running some more crossing routes. Well, crossing routes take longer to develop. And if your quarterback's getting, 2.1 seconds, the crossing route can't develop. You can't wait for the right window to throw. And all of a sudden he's off his mark and The offensive line thing needs to, whoever comes in here, the reason why I initially said Matt Campbell as the next coach, there's 3 reasons. 1, because I honestly believe last year he was contacted about the job, and I believe he would have taken it if it was open. 2, you're talking about an offensive line coach who has done pretty well offensive line-wise with Iowa State. And then 3, I kind of like his personality. I like his demeanor. That was another part I liked about him. And as much as people may think, what has he done at Iowa State? You got to remember what Iowa State is and what they have been over the years. So all of those reasons together is why I thought that he would be a great next coach for the University of Nebraska. Is he still the guy? I have no idea. I every time I hear a name, I almost get more excited about the name. I heard one the other day that I thought, man, I love that idea. It's a guy who's got some experience in the Big Ten. It's a guy who's been a head coach at a high level. It's a guy who has won. I mean, every time I hear a name, I'm like, okay, I like that. Heck, I heard Bronco Mendenhall the other day, and I thought, I loved Bronco. When I was covering the University of New Mexico, he was there as a defensive coordinator. He and Rocky Long were kind of like, almost felt like co-head coaches. I like Bronco. We know what he did at BYU. I think he even had a chance to turn around in Virginia at one point, but I don't know. Every name I hear, I think I like more. But still, Dave Aranda is a guy that's got every single – now, they lost yesterday. Does that mean because they lost yesterday and they couldn't get stops to Oklahoma State that all of a sudden he's out of the discussion? I would hope not. But at Wisconsin, had a great defense at Wisconsin, went to LSU, had a pretty good defense at LSU, got that defense. If you go back and you look at that national championship year and you watch LSU through the first 6 weeks, they had injuries on defense. They were struggling a little bit. They were giving up big yards, and they got it turned around. Got guys back from injury. Aranda got some stuff fixed. So, and we've seen what he's done 2 years, winning the Big 12 last year at Baylor. So he's a guy that fits and checks all the boxes, for me at least. But whatever they do, whatever Trev does, I have confidence. I believe in Trev. I believe that he's going to do the best thing he can for the university and for this football program. I think he's going to bring in somebody he believes that is not just a 1-year guy or 2-year guy, but somebody who for the next 10 years is the head coach at Nebraska, developing talent, getting better. So I think that's who he's looking for, and that's who he'll eventually get whenever he does bring somebody in. And whoever that is, I hope if they want to, they keep Mickey. I think that we've seen the running backs get better. I think Brian Applewhite's done a really good job as the running backs coach. I mentioned this earlier. I love having Barrett Root as part of the program. I hope he's still part of the program. And then after that, maybe Bill Bush. Especially if he continues to get this defense playing well. Maybe he is, again, your special teams coordinator, where he has proven over his career that he can do that. So, keep part of the band, bring somebody in. But if that head coach that comes in wants to completely bring everybody in himself, that's something you have to let him do. I don't think you can put stipulations on somebody, on a guy you're bringing in to be head coach that you're going to pay $7-8 million to and tell him, well, yeah, here's your limitations. I don't want to see that. And I didn't mention just now Lance Leipold, but 5-0 at Kansas is one of the great, most remarkable things. They were 5-0 in 2009. They then lost their next 7 to end the Mark Mangino era. Ended up 5-7. So it's going to be a tough schedule coming up for him. I wish him all luck in the world. I think he can win at Nebraska. I think he is that guy that's a lifer that would come here and stay if he was chosen. The one thing I want to see happen is for his name to be pronounced correctly. It's Lance Leipold, not Leopold. Not Leopold. I just wanted to be pronounced right. Lance Leipold. That's his name if he becomes the head coach. We appreciate all the phone calls today. It was not easy. Saints are on TV. I'm a Saints fan. Trying to concentrate on the show. Trying to not look at the game, but it's kind of hard. By the way, halftime 13-7. Minnesota's up. There was a fumble by Andy Dalton, who was starting in place of Jameis Winston today because of injury. Got another field goal. Gives some more points to the Chance's fantasy team, so that's good for him.
Yeah, kickers, baby.
Yeah, kickers. Yeah. We'll be back next week. It'll be Sunday still, 8 to 10 for Severe Reaction. Of course, the game is Friday night, so we'll have a time to watch the game over a little bit and get ready for that. Thanks for everybody who called. Thank you to Chance for producing the show and playing stuff. Again, if you want to find it, go to 1620thezone.com. Go to Radio Replay. Go to the bottom. You'll see Severe Reaction if you missed any part of the show, and you can listen back to that. Have a great rest of the Sunday.
Shop Woodhouse Place Hyundai and Nissan, 144th and Giles. KOZN, Bellevue, Omaha, Council Bluffs.